All righty, welcome. Is that good? All right, sounds good. Welcome, guys. We're back to the Constitution. And let's review a little bit about the amendments. What are the first amendments? What's the first 10 amendments called?
The Bill of Rights.
Ding, 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 ding. Yes, I like that. The Bill of Rights. Why? Why did we have to have the Bill of Rights?
So we don't have another revolution.
Another revolution? Well, true. I don't know about another revolution, but what do the Bill of Rights give us? Why do we have it?
They give us the basic rights that we didn't have when we were a part of Britain.
Make us different.
Well, it's what happens, guys, and I'm telling you, in a lot of situations, again, even how many people here have seen the movie Lincoln? Have you ever heard or seen the movie Lincoln? Okay. It won all the Academy Awards. It's very historical. And it talks about Abraham Lincoln passing the 13th Amendment, which we'll probably cover today, regarding freedom of slaves. And the bottom line was the freedom of slaves the 13th Amendment, when it was passed during the Civil War, did that allow women to vote? No. I mean, could good girls vote in the 1800s? Could black men vote in the 1800s? Well, they count when they started the country. Yeah, they counted as less than a man. And these are all compromises. And so my point is, when they did the Constitution, they wrote it so that it could be passed by everyone. And then they added these Bill of Rights, the first 10 amendments. I'm reading from the book here. These amendments limit the powers of the government. The First Amendment protects the civil rights, and then the amendment freedoms are not absolute. They are limited by the rights of other individuals. So the bottom line was they added these other amendments that had to be adopted by the states, because if they put them all in to begin with, the whole Constitution may not have been approved. So in that, as we can see here, the Bill of Rights limits freedom by consideration of other individual rights. And so the individual right in America, a lot of time, is more important than the rights of the entire country. And that is truly different for our country versus other countries. Many other countries do not have the rights of speech or the rights of public assembly, but we do that, and it makes great. Let's see, going down right on page 311 there. Why don't we just go around the room and talk about each amendment and what they mean? Ashton, why don't we start with you? Talk about the First Amendment. Why don't you read it, and then talk about what it means.
Congress shall make no law respecting the establishment of religion, or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech or of the press, or the right of the people peaceably to assemble and to petition the government for redress of grievances.
So, what does Amendment 1 do for you? Just read what it says. What does it guarantee?
A place to, like churches, is that what it's saying? Like for religion.
When I think I told you, didn't I tell you there was a big pornography case that said, I want to have pornography, I want to distribute it on the internet, and it was very horrible stuff, just horrible stuff. But it went to the Supreme Court, and guess what? Pornography won. Because of freedom of speech, right there. Freedom of speech, freedom of the press. The right of people to peaceably assemble. Can you go down to the county courthouse and have a high school assembly to complain about wearing IDs? Sure, you better believe it. As long as you follow the rules like everybody else, it's no big deal. So that's what our First Amendment does guarantee. And I'm telling you, this is different from most other countries in the world. Second Assembly, someone, Joe.
A well-regulated militia being necessary to the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed.
Exactly. And we even talked about this, I think, last week or whenever last time we talked about. For 150 years, Amendment 2 has nothing to do with your right to bear arms. It has to do with what? A regulated militia, which is the Air National Guard, but now it's active duty, Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard. But in the last 50 years, I mean like since the 70s, 30 years, 40 years, there's been a big switch in how the Supreme Court, who determines what the Constitution is, has interpreted this to be an individual right. And of course now, especially in Arizona, right to bear arms. Well, yeah, in the old days, sure, you had right to bear arms. Get in the military. You got the right to bear arms. Now it's each individual person's right to bear arms, right? A teacher has a right to bear arms and carry arms to defend myself against the bad people. So these things do change after we've actually, put them in the Constitution. Amendment 3, someone, Trevor.
No soldier shall in time of peace be quartered in any house without the consent of the owner, nor in time of war, but in a manner to be prescribed by law.
Why do you care about that? They're going to put soldiers in your house?
Not anymore, sir.
Well, why is it in there?
When we were trying to separate from Great Britain, they had the soldiers live in our houses.
1791, it was a problem. Okay? But not 1991. Okay, so you're exactly right. Amendment 4, next. Joey.
All right. The right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated, and no warrant shall issue, but upon probable cause supported by oath or affirmation, and particularly describing the place to be searched and the persons or things to be seized.
Do we worry about this today?
Yes, sir.
No? Yes?
Yes, sir.
Sometimes.
How? Why do we worry about this now?
If a cop thinks you have something in your house, they have to have a probable cause before they can search, or they have to get a warrant from the judge explaining exactly where they're searching and what they're searching for before they can.
You better believe it. What about the internet? I got my computer there, right? Or actually, the latest thing is a cell phone, right? I got my cell phone here. Do cops ever use my cell phone to know where I am if I'm a bad guy?
Yes, sir.
The answer is yes, they do it. And I personally, Denny Peoples, thinks it's fantastic because I'm not a bad guy. I don't care that people know where I am. I don't do bad things. But there's a big argument brewing right now about Amendment 4 that someone looking at your internet service and see where you've been on the internet or whether or not your GPS has gone to the drug house, there's an argument that the government shouldn't be spying on you using your cell phones because of Amendment 4. This happens. You'll hear this in the newspaper the next year or two. There'll be a decision whether or not does it say anything in Amendment 4 about internet? What do you think? Do you think it applies to the internet or not?
Yes, sir.
You think it does?
Yes, sir. Because your internet...
Doesn't say anything about the internet. It says houses, papers, and effects. What's an effect?
Your internet is your personal, I guess you could say, effect.
So you mean you're on the internet, you're supposed to be private, and nobody's ever supposed to know where you are.
I'm not supposed to know where I am, but not supposed, not supposed to know where I've been, I should say.
Thank you. Go ahead. Have a go.
I think only if they have probable cause. Like if you give them warrant to suspect that you're doing something bad,
right.
I think they should be able to. But if they don't have any reason to believe that, then I don't think they should.
Or the cops knock on their doors
I think all convicts who've been to jail or prison should have that done, but
they give it up.
If you haven't, then you shouldn't.
And I tell you what, this is all big. This is going to be huge in the next 5 or 10 years. They're just figuring that you got to figure this out. For instance, they talk about sex convicts, sexual offenders that have to register. There's a sex, and some of the sex offenders register and they've done such bad stuff that they can never have internet access. I mean, that's part of their probation. Should we be able to spy on their ISP address to see if they're accessing bad stuff?
Yes, sir.
I think the answer is yes. Again, I think people look at this as a violation of your rights and your privacy. Well, you know what? If you're not a bum, who cares? I mean, that they know that I go to Costco or Walmart or whatever. If you're not doing anything wrong, who cares? But anyway, Amendment 4 will definitely come up in the news. Amendment 5, who's that? Jackson.
No person shall be held to answer for a capital or otherwise infamous crime unless on a presentment or indictment of a grand jury, except in cases arising in the land or in the naval forces or in the militia when in actual service in time of war or public danger. Nor shall any person be subject for the same offense to be twice put in jeopardy of life or limb. Nor shall be compelled in any criminal case to be a witness against himself, nor be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, nor shall private property be taken for public use without just compensation.
Do we worry about this one now? Is this important? Give me an example. Why do we worry about this? Tata, why do we worry about this? Tata, my bad. Tay-Tay. Oh, I get it. Taylor, Tay-Tay. Got it. All right, give me an example of Amendment 5 right now. It's on TV. Everybody doing the news all the time. What was the name of the girl down the valley they've accused of killing her boyfriend?
I don't know her name, sir, but I just...
Her name was Arias or something like that, right? Jodi Arias, right? She's under trial to kill her boyfriend. What happens if she gets found innocent?
Then she can't be tried for the same.
Ding, 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 ding. It says right there. Yeah, that's double jeopardy. You hear that on TV a lot, right? So that we worry about this all the time. What about Guantanamo Bay? Has everybody heard of Guantanamo Bay? What's that?
Guantanamo Bay?
Where is that?
I have no idea.
Where is it? Is it in South Carolina?
No, sir.
Cuba. Okay, it's American property in the country of Cuba, and that's where we put the terrorists in the war on terrorism. Do they get to go in front of a grand jury? Why? Look, because of time of war or public danger. We have bypassed Amendment 5 because it said we could, and we've taken you, because you're a terrorist in time of war, and we put you in Guantanamo Bay. Traitor. This happens all the time. All right, Amendment 6. Tay-Tay.
In all criminal prosecutions, the accused shall enjoy the right to a speedy and legal trial by an impartial jury of the state and district wherein the crime shall have been committed, which district shall have been previously ascertained by law, and to be informed of the nature and cause of the accusation, to be confronted with the witnesses against him, to have compulsory process for obtaining witnesses in his favor, and to have the assistance of counsel.
Do we worry about this anymore? Yes, sir.
I would like to show. I don't understand why it says to be confronted with the witnesses against him. If I testify against a mob boss because he's...
There are ways to do that.
Well, yeah, because he's killed my entire family, I would hate to be like, hey, it's me, Steve.
Hey, that's an extreme case, and there are ways to get around that.
Yes.
But the bottom line is 99.9%. Heck, just like here in school, if you say that Bean was doing drugs, you need to go look him in the eye in front of the principal and say, hey, he's doing drugs. You need to be able to confront, see your witnesses. Does this happen in every country in the world?
No, sir.
No, you could just send a rumor that Bean's doing drugs in other countries, and they take him away and chop his head off, right? I mean, this is part of and also the speedy trial. And on the last line, to have the assistance of counsel for his defense. If I am poor, does that mean I not get a judge? Or I not get a lawyer? Yeah, I get a lawyer appointed to me, even though I'm poor. Does that happen in every country in the world?
No, sir.
No, it doesn't happen. Okay, Amendment 7, next. Who's not done one? Bean.
In suits at common law where the value and controversy shall exceed $20, the right of trial by jury shall be preserved, and no fact tried by a jury shall be otherwise re-examined in any court of the United States, than according to the rules of common law.
We still worry about Amendment 7?
Not too much, sir.
What do you think?
Do you think they've raised the amount of money,
No.
sir?
My answer is I think they have, but it's not in our book, is it?
This is from 20. Well,
How about, I tell you what, let me who here would research that for today, tomorrow?
Sir, I think that it might just be $20 back then, which could be a whole lot more.
But what does your book say? You're guessing. You don't know for sure.
I think
Somebody here research this for tomorrow, okay? Because we're going to be online tomorrow. Research it, Steve. Amendment 7, see what the current status is. I think it might be a different... the point is, tried by jury, okay? And also the whole bottom line was that it says, according to the rules of common law. Well, guess what? If the rules of common law have changed, they may have done that. So why don't you research the current status of Amendment 7 and talk to us more about it, okay? Amendment 8, Steve.
excessive bail shall not be required, nor excessive fines imposed, nor cruel and unusual punishments inflicted.
Do we ever worry about that?
Yes.
yes, sir.
Why?
Tortures to get interrogation techniques.
That is exactly right. Is torture cruel and unusual punishment? I don't know. It depends. You're in charge of the Supreme Court. Waterboarding, when a person thinks they're going to die, is that cruel and unusual?
Cruel, but not unusual.
Yes. Well, then how come you let this happen to Navarro, Trevor over there? Because he was the terrorist that set up the 9/11 ceremony and attack that killed 3,000 people. And why are you letting it happen? It says right here, no cruel and unusual punishment.
I don't know.
I don't know. What about the death penalty? Is the death penalty cruel and unusual punishment?
Some people think
No, sir. Especially if it's just cutting a person's head off.
That's not what we do in America. We generally do chemical injections or electrocution. Do we have a national policy on death penalty?
no, sir. It's by state.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah, so each state interprets that a little differently. And so consequently, we do worry about Amendment 9 a lot. All right, last one here for today. Amendment 10. Somebody, Ashlyn. I'm sorry, 9. Amendment 9. My
I
bad.
was like, wait a minute.
Amendment 9.
The enumeration in the Constitution of certain rights shall not be construed to deny or disparage others retained by the people.
What does that mean? Powers of the people. Okay?
Doesn't it basically just say if it's not in here, you're still allowed your rights, even though it's not written before?
The amendment prevents government from claiming that the only rights people have are those listed in the Bill of Rights. And generally it's the opposite way. You have a lot more rights. These are just certain ones that are guaranteed, that have been controversial previously. Right of press, right of religion. Okay, Amendment 10, last of the Bill of Rights. Joe.
The powers not delegated to the United States by the Constitution, nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people.
Why do we have that? Read. What does it mean?
Or to the states.
What does it mean?
It means that the federal government's not all powerful, like states have the rights to.
True. And so there, prior to the Civil War, Revolutionary War came on, the states were all powerful, right? We're the United States of America versus just a whole bunch of separate states. And again, this sort of, as the last amendment of the Bill of Rights, guarantees the power of the states. And so that they have different states' rights, which, oh, by the way, this week, actually last week, there's an argument of a case in front of the Supreme Courts regarding gay rights to marriage. Okay? In the federal government, we can tax people, and federal government, we say that a marriage is a male and a female. But what about the states, who the states have individually always determined who can get married? Because in some states you can get married at 16, some days you can get married at 18. the states have the rights for marriage and divorce. Some states in Nevada, you can get divorced in 10 seconds. In North Carolina, it takes a year. It's just different. Okay? But for the first time ever, America's Supreme Court is trying to determine whether or not gay marriage should be honored throughout the entire United States. So there's some controversy as to whether or not the Supreme Court looking at this is taking away from the rights of the 10th Amendment, which says that, have they mentioned anything about the rights of marriage in any of these other amendments?
No, sir.
No. And so if they hadn't mentioned it, it's reserved to the states. But now the Supreme Court is considering this. So it's really interesting. This is all these amendments were written, over 200 years ago, but we still use absolutely every one of them almost every day. All right, let's conclude here. We will start off with Amendment 11 tomorrow, please. And we will... Why don't you go ahead and turn off the